Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today I'm continuing my Criterion Collection recommendations. So this is a series that I started here in the month of June, a fresh series, in anticipation for what we expect to be in a few weeks, the sale at Barnes & Noble for the Criterion Collection. So every July and November, Barnes & Noble for the last several years has sold Criterion titles at 50% off. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that trend continues this year, that we'll see a July Barnes & Noble Criterion sale. And along with that, in recent years, Amazon.com has had a matching sale during that time. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that those sales are still happening in the month of July. And in preparation for that, put together some recommendations of some titles you might want to consider picking up in the month of July. So at whatever stage you are in collecting Criterion titles, whether you're just getting started or whether you've been collecting Criterion for a while and you're just trying to figure out what titles do I want to pick up in this upcoming sale that I don't have in my collection yet, I put together a video the other day called Coming of Age Movies. So Criterion Collection recommendations for coming of age movies. So who doesn't like a good coming of age movie? I think I recommended like 12 or 13 titles in that video. Definitely go check that video out on this channel. It went up the other day. Those are some recommended titles that I highly recommend picking up in this upcoming sale if you're into coming of age movies. Now, here's another genre I got for you in today's video. I'm going to be covering some Criterion Collection recommendations for crime movies. So who doesn't like a good crime story, a good gripping crime thriller or crime drama? That's what I'm going to be presenting here. 15 recommendations in that genre space. I got them right here. A nice, beautiful stack of Criterion goodness that I am going to go through right here and right now. These are titles that, similar to the video I did for coming of age movies, span multiple decades of cinema. In this case, we're going back all the way back to the 1940s, and we're covering films from the 1940s all the way up to the 2010s. So we're covering every decade from the 1940s up to the 2010s, with the exception of, I don't have a recommendation for the 1990s. So let me know in the comment section below if you have a good recommendation of a crime movie from the 1990s in the Criterion Collection. That's the only decade that I'm missing in this mad stack of 15 titles. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into these titles, and I'll talk a little bit about them, and let me know in the comment section what you think about these films, and if you plan on picking up any of these films during the upcoming sale, and any other crime films that you're thinking about picking up. Of course, who doesn't like a good crime movie? So let's jump right into this. This first title is from 1944, and I recently did a review on this channel of Double Indemnity, so definitely go check out that review. This is a classic film noir from 1944. This film stars Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edward G. Robinson, an absolute all-time film noir classic that I highly recommend. Definitely consider. This is in 4K Ultra HD, and it is marvelous. It is wonderful. One of the greatest film noirs in history. It is the granddaddy of film noir, an amazing film, Double Indemnity. It's a classic example. This is a crime movie, and it's a classic example of the fact that there is no such thing as the perfect murder or the perfect crime. Double Indemnity. So highly recommended. And it's, of course, a 4K edition. Love this film. It's new to the collection at spy number 1126. Another film from the 1950s. I got a couple of films from the 1950s actually. This is, and these are two films starring Sterling Hayden, and they're both heist movies. The first is directed by John Huston from 1950, and it's called The Asphalt Jungle. And this is a really amazing film from 1950. I have not seen this in a while, but it covers a jewel heist in the American Midwest, the 1950s. And this is a really, really great film that I really need to come back and revisit. I have not seen this in a number of years. Comes in at spy number 847 in the Criterion Collection. Really, really solid film. So highly recommend. recommended. And then another film starring Sterling Hayden from one of my favorite directors, Stanley Kubrick, that comes in at spine number 575 in the collection is The Killing. So this is another heist film starring Sterling Hayden. In this case, instead of a jewel heist, this is a heist of a racetrack. So I think it's horse racetrack. Definitely highly recommended. Of course, cautionary note on this one. Even though this Criterion Collection edition is highly recommended, it's a beautiful, beautiful film, an amazing edition from Criterion. I believe there's a 4K that is coming out of this film this year from Kino Lorber, I believe. So that's a cautionary note on this particular Criterion title. But if you're not interested in 4K, for whatever reason, if you want to just take advantage of the 50% off sale for this title when it's going to be sold at roughly $20, then definitely consider The Killing on Criterion. Really, really good film. It's from 1956. And then we have a film from 1958. That's a French film from Louis Malle when he was only 24 years old, very young, when he directed Elevator to the Gallows. This is a film starring, of course, the late, great Jean Moreau. Has some music from the wonderful jazz musician Miles Davis. This is an amazing film. She plays a woman who has a lover and they're trying to plot to kill her husband. And of course, similar to Double Indemnity, there's no such thing as a perfect crime. So this is a French film, Elevator to the Gallows, an amazing, amazing film. So just like in the previous video where I covered films from different countries, we're doing the same thing here. So we got films from the United States, from Japan, from France. So I'd like to have a nice eclectic mix of movies, and we have that in today's video. And an example of that is we're now going from France to Japan. So we started off in the United States, went to France, and now we're going to Japan to one of my favorite directors, Akira Kurosawa, in what might very well be my favorite film from this director. It stars the amazing, ever incredible Toshiro Mifune in a modern type crime drama. So very different from the samurai type films that Toshiro Mifune has starred in for Akira Kurosawa's films. This is High and Low, where he is starring as a shoe company executive called King Gondo. So he's a wealthy industrialist. He's part of a shoe company, and his family is the victim of a kidnapping attempt. So his son has been kidnapped by this man, and it's just an incredible, gripping thriller that I highly recommend. This is one of the best films from Akira Kurosawa. It's from 1963. It's 143 minutes in black and white. And of course, it's a film from Japan from the amazing Akira Kurosawa. Take a look at this inside here, at this booklet. Of course, you get a staple booklet in this case, and it's just fantastic. I love this edition from Criterion. You get this nice texture here, the walls. That's really all you get on here, but you see the disc art there. Very, very nice. So I love this edition from Criterion. This is one of Akira Kurosawa's best films among many brilliant films. It's part of the reason why he's one of my favorite directors, and this is highly recommended. If you have not picked up High and Low, I cannot recommend this title enough. This is a great film from Akira Kurosawa, great crime drama. Just can't say enough about it. This film also has, I believe, the star of The Human Condition. I believe he appears in this film as well. So highly recommended. And then of course, a film from Samuel Fuller. So coming back from Japan back to the United States, this is a film from Samuel Fuller about a woman who was a prostitute who moves to another town. And of course, her past catches up with her. It's called The Naked Kiss. This is a very different, inventive film from Samuel Fuller. It's from 1964. It's a pretty brisk watch at 90 minutes. And what I love about this edition, in addition to the film itself, is look at this inside. Look at this. This is, of course, what's her name? Constance Towers. I need to get better about names, but Constance Towers here, she plays this woman who used to be a prostitute, so she relocates to a suburb and crazy things happen from there. But you gotta love this disc art. Absolutely love that. See the back of this edition. And this film is from 1964, 90 minutes from Samuel Fuller. So This is highly, highly recommended, The Naked Kiss. And then we are now leaving the United States again and going back to Japan. So this is a film from Seijun Suzuki, and it's Branded to Kill. So this is a really, really fascinating film. It is from 1967, and it stars Joe Shishido as a Yakuza assassin. So very, very good film, Branded to Kill. This is Seijun Suzuki's film from 1967, 91 minutes, black and white, it's in Japanese, and just a great film. Highly, highly recommended. I love this picture here and the inside of this edition. Just fantastic. Great crime film. I love the way this film is shot. Just a very, very interesting film. And what I love about these titles that I'm recommending to you is that it's a nice eclectic mix, similar to the coming of age, video I did the other day. It's just different types of films, all within this crime drama. And you just have a nice selection of titles to choose from that you might want to pick up in this upcoming sale. So hope that you're enjoying this. And if you have any other recommendations, let us know in the comments section. The next title is Now We're Back in the United States. This is a really interesting title that has a really interesting cover, like a newspaper cover. It's called The Honeymoon Killers. It's based on a true story. It's from 1969. It's spine number 200. So this edition got spine 200 in the Criterion collection. Isn't that wild? And it's from 1969, and it is based on a true story. I'm trying to see who the director of this film is. My apologies, I may have to put it up on the screen here, but this is a really interesting film that I have not seen in a while that I need to revisit. But it's just a crazy, crazy movie, The Honeymoon Killers. So I'll read the description here. Martha Beck, Shirley Stoller, is sullen, overweight, and lonely. Desperate for affection, she joins Aunt Carrie's friendship club and strikes up a correspondence with Ray Fernandez, Tony Lo Bianco, a charismatic smooth talker who could be the man of her dreams or a degenerate con artist. Based on a shocking true story and shot in documentary style black and white by the confident and inspired Leonard Castle in what would be his only foray into filmmaking, The Honeymoon Killers is a stark portrayal of the desperate lengths to which a lonely heart will go to find true love. So yes, wow. This was a stunning film that I really need to revisit because I've forgotten a lot about this film, but it's a very tragic movie from what I remember. And I need to revisit it, but I do remember it being really interesting and very different type of a movie. So it's like a documentary, it's based on a true story, and I highly recommend it, The Honeymoon Killers. Very different kind of film. Of course, we remember Robert Mitchum in his stunning performance in the amazing film, The Night of the Hunter, but this is him a few years later, probably almost 20 years later, in this film, this crime film from Peter Yates called The Friends of Eddie Coyle. So this is a great film that I highly recommend. Of course, this takes place in Boston. Really, really interesting crime film from 1973. It comes in at 102 minutes. So just a great film starring a great actor. Of course, you can see Robert Mitchum is, a bit older now. This is, him in his later years, and just an amazing film. Highly recommended crime drama from the early 1970s. You get a nice thick booklet with this edition. Of course, you have the wonderful star Robert Mitchum here. Of course, in The Night of the Hunter, he had those letters on his knuckles. Of course, he doesn't have that here in this movie here. But yeah, just an amazing, amazing film from an amazing actor, Robert Mitchum. And of course, I like the art on this disc here. I think that looks pretty good. And overall, a very nice addition from the Criterion collection. Comes in at spine number 475, and just a great film that I highly recommend, The Friends of Eddie Coyle. So I've got 6 more to go here, 9 down, 6 more to go of the 15. We are now going back to Japan. So we got a number of titles from Japan in this crime drama video here, and this is a great one. This is one that when I first saw it, it blew my mind, and it's one that I need to go back and watch. This is a great, great movie from Shohei Imamura, and it is Vengeance is Mine. This is from 1979. This is spine number 384 in the Criterion collection, and this is an amazing film. It is basically a thief, murderer, and a lady killer who is terrorizing people in Japan, and he's a very complicated, tragic figure, and it's just an amazing, amazing story of him and his family and the people that are around him, and really the extent to which, he devastates the lives of those around him and breaks the heart of the people that care about him. Just an amazing, amazing film, and I just cannot recommend this enough. This comes in a very nice, thick booklet as well. Of course, you have this picture here of the tragic gentleman, but it's just an amazing crime drama. He's a lady killer, he's a thief, he's a murderer. He is all of those things wrapped up in one. And this is one incredible film from 1979 that I recommend, that I really need to go back and revisit this film because it's been several years since I've seen it, but it is highly recommended. This next title is a title that was one of the first Criterion Collection editions I have ever picked up. And it is a film starring James Caan a few years after his turn in The Godfather, and it is Michael Mann's Thief. So this is a film starring James Caan by Michael Mann. Incredible soundtrack from Tangerine Dream. I love the music in this film, and I love the overall aesthetic of this film in terms of the lights and the rain-soaked streets, the neon lights, the overall environment and the world building of this film from Michael Mann is incredible, and James Caan's performance is great in this movie. He's basically a criminal, he's a thief who is trying to get out of the game, so to speak. But as often is the case, it's very hard for these criminals to completely get out. There's always some forces trying to pull you back into the game, and that's what happens in this case. He is being pulled back in for one last job, and just a great film, highly recommended. This is from 1981. It's 124 minutes, and I highly recommend it. Great performance from James Caan, and it's called Thief. This was actually one of the dual format editions, and I'm not sure if it's just in a Blu-ray edition now, or if there's still any dual formats out there of this edition from Criterion, but highly recommended. Of course, he opens up these safes with this welding thing, and you see the sparks from it right here. Really, really cool. So, highly recommended, Thief. One of the first editions I got from the Criterion collection was Thief, along with Blowout and Seven Samurai. So, love that edition. Of course, Joel and Ethan Coen. Oh man, love this film. This is their directorial debut. It's from 1984. It is Blood Simple. Amazing film from this brother filmmaking duo who I don't believe they're working together anymore, but they made some amazing films together, starting with Blood Simple. This stars Frances McDormand, of course, who would become the wife of Joel Coen. Amazing, amazing film. Frances McDormand in this film is playing a woman who's cheating on her husband, who's a bar owner, and this bar owner plots to have her killed, basically. And so the plot goes from there. It's a very fascinating story that I highly recommend, but who doesn't love this cover? Amazing cover. This is spine number 834 in the Criterion collection. And I love the picture on the booklet, or the little fold out, if you would. It's a fold out, it's not a stapled booklet. But I love this picture, very interesting part of the film. And I love the disc art. Just fantastic. But yeah, great film. It's from 1984. It's 95 minutes, so it's not incredibly long. Very brisk watch. Great film from the Coen brothers, and the start of what will become a great filmmaking duo. 3 more to go here. So this next film is a film that is also from the 1980s. It's from 1988, and it is one of the best crime documentaries that you will ever see. It's a good mix of realism, and it's a good mix of real footage as well as reenacted footage, and it's called The Thin Blue Line. This is a film from Errol Morris, and it's from 1988. It's 102 minutes, and it's a documentary, and it says here that it erases the border between art and activism. So it's a work of meticulous journalism and gripping drama. It recounts the disturbing tale of Randall Dale Adams. He is a drifter who was charged with the murder of a Dallas police officer and sent to death row, despite the fact that there was evidence that proved that he did not commit the crime. So an incredible documentary that you definitely want to check out. This is spy number 753 in the Criterion collection. This is a really, really cool film from 1988. Great documentary. If you like documentaries, highly, highly recommended. I happen to love documentaries, so that's a good one. And of course, down to the last two films here, of course, these are recent pickups for me, and these are additions I absolutely love in the Criterion collection. Of course, Parasite, one of my favorite films in the last several years. I love the addition that Criterion put out the other year. And this is another film from Bong Joon-ho called Memories of Murder. So this is from 2003, it's 131 minutes from Bong Joon-ho. Absolute masterpiece of the film. Is right up there with Parasite for me. I love this film. Of course, you gotta love the art on here. It's basically about the murders that took place in South Korea, the serial killings in the 1980s through the early 1990s. I think from 1986 to 1993. And so this is a film that's loosely based upon that. Great crime story. There's a little bit of, strangely enough, a little bit of humor that's mixed into this movie. Song Kang-ho, who starred in Parasite, starred in this film here first in 2003. An amazing film. And this is, of course, from South Korea. Great movie that I highly recommend. Memories of Murder from Bong Joon-ho. And then we now leave South Korea and we come back to the United States. So we've covered films from the United States, from Japan, from France, from South Korea, and we're ending back in the good old US of A with a film that I am so happy ultimately got made. Now this is a film that part of me wishes was made, say 20 years ago when these players were still a little younger, but I'm glad that it finally got made by Martin Scorsese. It's a crime drama starring three of the great leads in crime movie history. Of course, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci in The Irishman. Fantastic film. I love this film. This is a wonderful, wonderful film that I highly recommend. And it basically covers the story of Teamsters, heavy man Jimmy Hoffa. So, of course, played by Al Pacino in this movie. Just an absolutely stunning, stunning film. This film featured some de-aging special effects that they did for De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci. Of course, all three of these actors have, of course, gotten advanced up there in their years. And so they did some de-aging effects to sort of, take some years off. And I think it worked pretty well for this film. I really enjoyed this movie overall, and this is a great digipack from the Criterion collection. Of course, you have the pictures of the three leads here, which I think are just fantastic on the inside. Love it. And then, check this out. On the inside here, I heard you paint houses. A famous quote from the movie. Love it, love it. And then you have your discs. So just a wonderful digipack edition from the Criterion collection. This, of course, was a Netflix film that has come into the Criterion collection, and it's just a masterpiece from Martin Scorsese that I'm glad finally got made. Like I said before, I wish this film had been made 20 years ago, but I'm glad it finally got made. It's The Irishman, classic film that I highly recommend. Another amazing crime drama epic from the master Martin Scorsese, The Irishman. So there you have it. These are the films that I would recommend you consider in the crime drama, crime film space. So I'm gonna turn them up right here. Having a little bit of a difficult time getting them lined up, but here they are. Some amazing, amazing films to consider in the crime film space. So again, starting off with Double Indemnity, The Asphalt Jungle, The Killing, Elevator to the Gallows, High and Low, The Naked Kiss, Branded to Kill, The Honeymoon Killers, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, Vengeance is Mine, Thief, Blood Simple, The Thin Blue Line, Memories of Murder, and The Irishman. These are all great films to consider adding to your collection as part of this July sale, or perhaps even the November sale. So if you like crime movies, definitely consider picking up these films. But let me know in the comments below, what are some other crime movies that I didn't mention that are in the Criterion collection that you would recommend picking up in an upcoming sale? And what are some other titles in Criterion that you have your eye on to pick up in this upcoming July sale? Let me know that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.